Alright guys, let's review A Quiet Place again. And I reviewed this whenever it came out in 2018, and I was over the moon for it. I really loved A Quiet Place whenever I first watched it, and I finally got the chance to rewatch it again. I bought it on Blu-ray some time ago, and I finally got the chance to rewatch Quiet Place. And I'm going to say this, on this review, it's a different opinion than I felt in the first time I watched A Quiet Place. The first time I watched it, I thought it was incredible. I was really blown away. And watching it this time, I wasn't as blown away by it. And it's not like I'm saying the movie is bad at all. Like I still enjoyed A Quiet Place, but I was really hyping it up by the trailers and going into the movie and watching the movie, and then it took a couple years to for me to realize, oh, it wasn't as enjoyable as I thought it was before. But I will say this though, that this movie is still an interesting movie. I do like the fact that this came out in 2018, and in 2018 I would almost never see a modern blockbuster movie that was released in regular theaters that has virtually no audio or dialogue except for a few little scenes. I really appreciated that, and I think that that's really cool because a lot of people can't take that now. Like, who are like, it's 2018. A lot of people weren't gonna take no audio in a movie. Like, I really love that fact that it's almost a dialogueless movie, and it goes on the emotions of these actors, and these actors are good. Like John Krasinski, who directed it as well, is good. Emily Blunt is good. The kids are good. They all have good chemistry, and I do like these kids and the parents. I think that they all really do have enough chemistry with each other, and especially Emily Blunt and John Krasinski, because they're married. They've got that actual real life chemistry, and it really works. And I do like how simple this movie is. I felt like on rewatch, the thing I didn't enjoy as much was the third act. Honestly, like I was kind of like, this isn't as intense as I thought it was. Like it's weird. It never usually happens for me, but I didn't feel as intense, or it felt like it was as intense this time around. And there are moments of greatness in this movie, like the moment where, since they have no names, they don't say what their names are. John Krasinski and his son, like, they go to the waterfall, and John Krasinski like yells, and then the kid's scared and freaking out because he knows, with what happened with this little brother getting killed and with everybody else in the world getting killed by these creatures, that they'll come with noise. And then John Krasinski looks at him and says it's okay because, like, he's in a louder environment with the water, so they cannot hear them make a noise. And I really love that moment. And I really love the moment with John Krasinski and his daughter, where, like, his daughter is deaf, and she feels to blame for killing the younger brother, and not by like leaving the batteries on the table at first at the beginning of the movie, and the kid put the batteries in the toy plane noise, and the kid gets killed by the creature. So the daughter feels like she's to blame, and I really love that scene with John Krasinski and the son. And the son says, "Do you blame her for it?" And he says, "No." And, like, that to me is such a really well done scene. It's one of my favorite scenes in the movie, and I really do appreciate that. Again, these actors have great chemistry. They do have great performances, especially because it's a almost dialogueless movie. And I really enjoy the characters for the. I feel like for the biggest thing in this movie, I think the characters really sell it, and the idea sells it. But I just felt like the third act, rewatching it again, it got into, like, it didn't feel as scary or as intense. I was like, it's one of those few instances for me where, like, the cat's out of the bag. You don't feel the same way coming out of it again, and that really is unfortunate because I really still enjoy this movie. I just don't feel the same love as I did before. But I still enjoyed it. I think it's a enjoyable time, and I don't know, like, I'm still excited for part two, and part two comes out next week, I believe. Whenever I post this, it might be next week, but I'm excited for it still. Even though I felt a difference in opinion, like, rewatching this movie. But like I said, I still like the movie. I think the movie is still a solid movie that has unique ideas, has good performances, and overall, like, it's still an interesting time. It's just not one that I loved as much. So I think it's because I was just like in that horror craze, because Hereditary I think was coming out right then too, and I'm like, man, everything's great, and maybe that's why. But again, it's not like this is a bad movie. It's like this is a movie that's solid, but it's just not one that's like incredible. It's not like Hereditary. Like I've watched Hereditary a couple times and I still get blown away by that movie. And this one not as much anymore, but I still think it's a solid, enjoyable time, and I can't wait for part 2. Hey guys, if you like this video, consider checking out my other content. I review a majority of films that are pretty recent and also older films and mostly horror as well. Horror is my favorite genre, so I expect a lot of horror. And check out all my links down below. I have a link to Patreon, I have a link to Instagram, link to Twitter, link to my Facebook group, Horror Enthusiast 101, and to my own personal Facebook page, CDR Movie Reviews. And thank you for anybody who watched this video. Thanks for watching.